My name's Dave DeBow, founder of MoneyPartnerFormula.com, and this show is built for everyday real estate investors who are actively doing deals and looking to scale using other people's money. So if you're an active real estate investor and you want to get featured on this show to talk about your own real estate and capital raising experiences, then just go to daveinterviewyou.com. Now let's get rolling with this episode, and remember to subscribe for daily interview content.
All right, guys, welcome to Property Profits Podcast. I'm your host, Bryce Kaminsky, filling in for Dave Dubois. And have you ever wondered how a zero-down mortgage led to a thriving real estate journey? Join me tonight with Kevin Veen, my guest from Kitchener, Ontario. He's going to share his secrets from house hacking to cross-province investments. Kevin, welcome to the show. Great to have you.
Thanks, Bryce. It's a pleasure to be here.
We both have our coffee cups. I think yours says Dad on it, right?
Yes, sir.
And has the same style glasses as you. You should have wore the bow tie. It would have been the whole match.
Yeah, I'll let my son know for next time.
Yeah, get me the bow tie for Christmas this time. So, it's interesting that people are investing out of province. You know, when I started, I still struggle a little bit with investing away from a touch point. I still have this thing where I maybe want to drive by it and check on it and see what's going on. And so the big question, and I'm sure everyone's wondering, is how do you manage those expectations and those projects? Before we got on the show, you have the project that you're doing in New Brunswick, but you live in Kitchener, Ontario. So how do you manage that?
Well, the short answer is it's a good team. It's something that I learned the hard way when I first started into real estate. But once I exited from Ontario, I'm sure we all know why, from a high price point to the landlord-tenant laws.
Yeah.
New Brunswick, the communities that I joined online, I connected with a lot of very strong investors and real estate agents. And then the community itself really led me to that area. Just working with them, understanding the markets themselves, and building that team one by one.
So what was it that really pushed you over the edge to say, I'm going to go ahead and do this? You're talking about the community, but what about the community or the information that you got that said, you know what, I'm ready, I'm going for it?
Well, the big trigger point for me was obviously mindset.
Okay.
I'd spent a lot of time in analysis paralysis. I had looked at a lot of deals. I mean, I go back and forth. But then the last group that I joined was a mindset group. He's actually from the Mel and Dave group.
Okay.
Simon Davis.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if you're aware of Simon, but he has a.
It sounds familiar, but I'm not super aware.
Well, he teaches the Proctor Gallagher Institute, so the PGI mindset.
Okay.
And that really did help me break down a lot of fear barriers and really pushed me over that edge. So I had the math figured out. The numbers all made sense. I was up against that wall, but the mindset really threw me over that next level, and I'm grateful for it.
Nice. So what would you say, after going through the mindset piece, there's lots of people that are experiencing that. I mean, it doesn't really go away in the end. You end up just kind of tackling the thing. It's not like all of a sudden our fears and weaknesses go away. It's just we come to terms with that. Most of them are in our own head, and that maybe they're not real. And it's usually a lack of information that causes us to be locked up in fear. If we knew that those were the winning lotto numbers, we'd buy a ticket right now, but we don't. So we're like, is that a waste of money? And it's the same with real estate, right? Is that deal going to be a winning deal? Well, I'm not sure. So how much information can you get about this deal? Well, maybe not all of it. And maybe I'm never going to be 100% certain. And then learning to act without being 100% certain. So, for someone who's been there, talk to those people who are there and try to give them just one thing that might help them get out of there.
My biggest piece of advice would be connect with people that have already done it well, and You're 100% right. The numbers can be spot on, but a contractor can run over. An extra fee can add up here. So you really want to make sure you have those backup plans. Using OPM or other people's money strategy is great, but you definitely want to have that backup plan ready, whether it's a corporation line of credit, whether it's a HELOC on your own property. I don't think losing a little bit of money on a deal is bad as long as you're ready for that hit.
Mm-hmm.
So be prepared, connect with people.
It's like, don't go to the casino unless you can afford to lose the money, right? Don't gamble with money you can't afford to lose. Now, is real estate really a gamble? I guess it depends who you ask. Um, is there anything, is there really as something like a sure thing in real estate? Well, maybe not. However, if we're talking about investments, there's a much more volatile investment classes out there. You could have been in any number of cryptocurrencies that disappeared overnight, over the years. So
100%.
at least at the end of the day, if the whole market crashes and it goes down to zero, you can still go and like cry against the side of your building because you still have
Sure.
title to it. So you can still like hold it even though it's worthless, right? As opposed to stocks or bonds or things like that. So how did you get started in real estate? What got you excited about the idea of getting started? Because you've got a 9 to 5, which we were talking before the show feels a lot like a 8 to 6, or yeah, that'd be like a 10-hour shift. Because the
Yes.
driving and the lunch and by the end of the thing you're exhausted and the kids are probably already asleep by the time you get home. And um, is that kind of what pushed you into real estate, saying I need to find a way out of here, or what got you into the idea?
Well, I actually kind of fell into real estate. So I purchased way back in 2008 my
Mm,
very first property. And as a kid without a purpose, I didn't know what to do. And then I started getting higher paying jobs. And with a higher paying job, you pay higher taxes.
yeah.
So that
Yep.
first paycheck, I looked at it, I said, I don't want to do this the rest of my life.
Yeah,
I,
it's like a ceiling that's like pressing down on you. It's like
yeah,
instead of an exponential curve, it's like one that like curves you off. It's like effort going up, taxes coming up. So you didn't want to live that life forever. You had to find a tax deferral.
yep. So I did what most investors do. They pick up that nice purple book, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. And then I said, well, let's go for it. Nothing else was working. I connected with a really, really strong mortgage broker here in Kitchener. She set me up, Tracy Valco,
Mm-hmm.
Valco Financial. She hooked me up with a house she hooked me up with a real estate agent. Ended up finding this property, a little bungalow, 2 entrances. I didn't know it at the time, but I was actually going to buy something I was going to convert to a duplex.
Mm-hmm.
So I house hacked that property. I mean, I was all in for real estate, and then rented out the upstairs, lived in the basement, did the opposite, then eventually bought a new primary residence. Then we had the kids. I loved that life. I soaked that in as much as possible, like I'm sure you're doing right now.
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of fun. After the diapers, it's a lot of fun. The
For sure it is.
diapers, I could go without that. If they just didn't have that whole part, I'd be fun. But yeah, like it passes very quickly. You really do want to soak it up. So how old are the kids now?
They are 5 and 7. So
So they're now like, leave me alone, Dad. I mean, I want to play my tablet. Let me just play my iPad.
they're getting there. I'm pretty lucky. They're still, hey, love you, Dad. So I have that
Yeah, they
going for
love you,
me.
but they also want to play their games or watch YouTube. My son's addicted to YouTube. Dad, can just 5 more minutes? Can I watch YouTube? Just one more show, just
Oh
5 more minutes, please. Sure. If you say please, I mean you're speaking so well. Yeah, here you go. Watch probably why watching YouTube like that. So you're soaking up the kids, you're soaking them up, getting the so did you buy that property in 2008 and you've just been holding that one property? Have you been accumulating them over time?
So that property sat, and I really did go on autopilot. I soaked up into my actual career, so I spent a lot more time in my position, going on to projects, getting involved with project management. I really dove into that. I gained so many skills where I was
Mm,
like, real estate's my hobby. And then when
like a
COVID
side
hit,
hustle. Yeah.
yeah, COVID hit, I thought I got to get back into the rich dad poor dad mindset. So I joined the Facebook groups, like I said, Mel and Dave. I didn't really promote myself. I really did stay in the shadows. And then I
Yeah,
thought,
there's kind of like there's kind of two breeds of investor. There's the ones that are just like self-financed, hang out, maybe they go to some real estate events, but they don't really ever look at it as a career. They're more like, yeah, I buy some rentals. I'm doing it for tax purposes, or I'm funneling. I own a laundromat and I have to like
hmm,
buy stuff. Otherwise,
yeah.
I pay taxes on the stuff. Like I don't need all this money, but if I put it over here, maybe I can have the money back later and stuff like that. So how many properties are we at these days if you had to count it up, or doors?
Well, because of the big pause, I have the one in Ontario, which we
Mm-hmm.
did turn into a legal duplex. So that was a pretty cool experience. I
Nice.
learned a ton. And
Mm-hmm.
then we closed on the triplex in New Brunswick 3 weeks ago. So that's now in the construction phase.
Mm-hmm.
And then we just secured a contract on a fourplex also in New Brunswick.
So you're
So
really starting to get that momentum again going. Now that you're like, I could buy three, I could buy four, I could probably buy eight, I could probably buy 25. Once you break the once you break the mindset around multi, you're just like, well, now I can buy 10 if I really wanted to. I mean, I just got to figure out the financing, right?
that's the big struggle, right?
Well, in
That's
the project management skills you learned from there to there and brought it forward with you, right?
Yep, absolutely. I learned so much from work, but again, getting over that hump, getting through that fear barrier, that was mindset. That was something I had to work on.
COVID had you returning to real estate. Why is that though?
I just looked at where I was at, where I was going. We were deemed essential, so we had to always be working. I had to go into work, and I was watching kind of how people were interacting. You were either going off the hinges with, day drinking and all the fun stuff, but I kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
I kind of flipped the other way. I went, you know what? I've had a lot of fun. I'll cut the drinking out for a bit. So
Focus up. As I say to
I
my son, focus up.
Yeah, that's right. So I really dialed it in. I said, I'm going to give this a real shot at this. I'm going to show people, I'm here to actually run business, and I've done success in the past, and I can repeat that cycle.
So the real estate, what industry are you in? Because real estate was essential. Like when COVID was like, they're like, everyone can stay inside except for the real estate investors. We're just like, oh, you mean nothing changed? I just have to wear
Yeah,
this mask when I go in, and maybe people are a little bit more freaked out, but most people don't even care whether you wear a mask and you go in their house anyway. They're just people like me and you.
yeah,
So we were out and about doing whatever. Flipping was still going. Housing was essential. So we were out deemed essential right out of the gate, like a grocery store, like a house. So what
yeah.
industry is it that you're in that they deemed allowed to continue?
So I'm in the automotive industry,
Hmm.
and people got to drive, right? So
Like fixing cars, building
uh,
cars.
building cars, and I
Yeah.
was working with pilot projects. So we launch a new vehicle every 5 years. You can't stop that.
Yeah,
So
it's got to happen. So, um, yeah, that must have been tough too, being like in teams and stuff and still having to go to work and being around people. Cause I mean, in real estate, you really don't hang around that many people. Maybe a real estate agent here and a house there. And, for a lot of the stuff, you can do it virtual on the phone and meetings like this. So, um, now that you're buying that third and you're into that fourth, What do you think your secret sauce is as far as what's made you successful so far? You know, what comes easy to you that other people might find difficult to do?
I'd say for me, is understanding the project and really connecting with the people that have done it. So if I get to a roadblock where I can't solve it,
Mm-hmm.
I'm no longer scared to ask, hey, I know you've had something similar. What did you run into? Or reach out to other people where previously in the past I would kind of shell up. You know
Yeah.
what? I'm not going to talk about it. I'll figure it out myself.
Pride.
Well, yeah, I was raised on a farm, so
You got
in
to
a
figure it out. There's no one to
you
ask
gotta.
when you're on the farm. There's no one to ask.
That's
That's how
right.
they were raised, right? What are they going to do? Go on the internet in the 40s and how do I do this? No, you figure it out.
That's
And that's
right.
one of the thing I see a lot with real estate investors is like pride. Um, what is the saying? Pride comes before the fall. So it's like instead of asking how to sort it out, they just try to sort it out, and then maybe they'd be successful, maybe they won't. But now with the internet and forums and the access to information, I don't think you really need to be. No one's going to fault you in real estate by asking for the answers. It's just like, hey, what's the answer? Oh, and what's crazy is most real estate investors love to share what's worked and like how they got out of a jam so other people don't end up in that same jam. We're very open as a group of um, people that work together. There's not really
Yes.
a lot of like, if I do this deal, you can't do deals. And if I make money in real estate, you're not allowed. Like, there's none of that in real estate. There's no competition. Like, if I'm making money, the Kevin can't. Like, when we're in real estate, I can make money over here and you, Kevin, can make a bunch of money over here. Like, we're not like, it's not like Pepsi Coke. It's not like if
Right.
you're my brand or not drinking Kevin's. It's like we can both sell, make a bunch of money. So it's very collaborative, the business of real estate. Um, is that, you talk about the Mel and Dave network, and I guess you've taken some of their mentorship, it sounds like.
Yep, 100%. So it did take a while to break that paradigm, though, of it's not just me. I thought everything had to be me, so it took a
Yeah,
lot of
no.
work. But I was raised as like those investor type people. They're all selfish, and it wasn't until I got out of that shell, like, no, these people care, and then
Mm.
they're giving, and then I start giving, and then it's just this endless loop of just sharing knowledge and now it's fun for me. Now I enjoy going to those meetups and I enjoy hearing how people do it.
Yeah, that's the one thing that took some time for me as well, is to just say, like, let's say Kevin's doing 20 deals this year. I shouldn't feel any type of way because like everyone was constantly measuring how
Yes.
many deals they were doing, and that was like a measure of success. It's like, oh, you're only doing one deal this year. Ha 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 ha. It's like, well, what about if that one deal is like a $400,000 profit in some flip in Florida? Like, you don't know the under thing. Like, running your own race, I think, is really important in real estate, because we're not even in this, like, we're in the same city in the same game, but it doesn't feel like we're in the same race at all. Like, you can totally be first place in your race in your mind, and I can be first place in my mind in my race, right? It's whatever bar we're setting for ourselves. um
100%.
how are you funding your projects right now? Because you got another one coming up. You got a fourplex, you said, right?
Yes. So through the Mel and Dave group, looking for any chance to give somebody an opportunity to make 15% on their money,
Mm-hmm.
then refi as the exit and pay back everybody. So that's kind of the business model right now, and it seems to be working.
Yeah, as long as you can get that thing done on time and on schedule, which it sounds like you are. Now, I know the Mel and Dave's network has like some funding forums and stuff like that where you can put that out there. Have you had any success getting capital from inside of that network, or what are you doing to get, access from your existing like friends and followers? What have you been doing so far with that?
I have been successful in getting the capital through the Mel and Dave network already.
Mm-hmm.
I am now just pulling in kind of a lender's list of my own through my own personal network.
Mm-hmm.
And really learning to promote the deal and myself as an investor. That's
Yeah.
one thing that actually one big reason why I'm here right now. And I'm grateful for that experience is really showcase not only the deal, but the investor.
Well, I'm a big believer that the investor is the deal, because houses are just houses. Like if Kevin can't do it, then he's not, like, either Kevin can do it or he can't do it. The house will be the house, like if I do the deal, it's still the same house. If Kevin does the deal, it's still the same house, but the result, it's all about Kevin and his business model. That's all about whether or not I have the same project management. Like, let's say I'm just not good with people and they run me all over and that thing takes 3 years to finish and Kevin gets it done in 3 months. It's like, okay, who should I invest with? Maybe the guy who gets it done in 3 months, maybe not 3 years. So what are you doing to expand that network of people that you want to bring you yourself as an opportunity to other people?
One thing I like to bring is the human connection. And I'm
Mm-hmm.
finding that any skills that I have, even though at a certain point I didn't think I had a lot of skills,
Mm-hmm.
giving those skills to other people, adding value to them, and just continuously giving and connecting with those people. Um, Not even to say like, I don't know who my investors are. I want to connect with them. I want to know about their kids. I want to know
Mm-hmm.
what their goals are. Maybe there's something that I have that could help them with their goals. So for me, it's really connecting with those people, and they're not just bank accounts. It's not just 15%. It's who are you? How can I help you? And let's grow something together.
Mm-hmm. Otherwise, it doesn't quite turn out the same if you don't protect, like, whose money is it? It's different, when you actually get to know the person and you're like, okay, this is who I'm working with, and this
Yeah.
is, I'm working for these kids to get this money back to make their to make the money that they said I was gonna, make this interest. So when it comes to deals, are you find the deal and then the money, or do you prefer to have the capital kind of lined up and then go looking for deals?
I'll kind of do a mixture of both. If the deal comes up and it's so good, then yes, I'll run a quick number, do a quick evaluation, and
Mm-hmm.
then source the funding. I
Okay.
believe if the deal is good enough, the investors will want to pour that money into it. They believe in it as well, right? But ideally, yeah, I take a slower approach, look for that good deal, and then raise the capital ready for it. But as any investor, opportunity is there, right? Let's take advantage of that opportunity.
Yeah, raising the money, because that's one thing that we would always have when we were flipping lots of property, is we would have a sheet right at the end that said lender hesitation. So if the lender,
Mhm.
you brought the deal to them and they said, nah, I don't really want to be in on it, that would be a red flag for us to say, well, maybe this isn't a deal. So I always trust that lenders became lenders because they know how to make money. And so if I'm not listening to my lenders, I'm probably not making money either. We had one deal where I was like, I'm better than this. I can do this deal. And the lender was right. We lost 5 grand on that house. It could
Yeah.
have went worse, but the lender was right. And surprise, surprise, they didn't become lenders because they don't know what they're doing. So you were talking a little bit about your presentation, about how you present yourself and the deal. Walk me through a little bit more about what you're doing in that regard, as far as how you're approaching the pitch, the presentation.
For the pitch itself, so obviously build the pitch deck. We'll throw out the ARVs, the purchase price. We'll show the whole
Mm-hmm.
deal as an evaluation, and then I'll throw in like who I am and how to reach me.
Mm-hmm.
And then really after that, it's Facebook Messenger, it's through email. And then we'll connect and we'll talk about why I think it's good and how I think I got to that number, where this information came from and who the team is that's building it, and say it's not just me working on it, it's the whole team doing it.
Mm-hmm. These are the people who got it done last time. They're going to get it done again. So, we've touched on this a couple of times. For people to invest significant capital, they got to know and trust you to really invest in a big way. What are some ways that you're able to, kind of build that, or what are some things you're doing to kind of show people to get to know you, to get to like you, ultimately to trust you enough to invest?
I think the biggest thing is I'm giving. I'm giving
Mhm.
of my time. I'm giving of my energy. I'm giving of the money. I'm also a lender as well, so I've recently learned how to pull out RRSPs into a self-directed fund. So I can understand handing out large chunks of money that we've all worked so hard for, and why it's so important as a lender to know the deal. But I also like to think I bring value as to say how this project is going to work, and why don't I show you what I'm doing, bring you in on the deal if you want to learn, and then maybe that gives them some confidence to go on their own deal
Mhm.
throughout, right? So just trying to add value.
Yeah, it's interesting you say like being a lender and someone who's being lent to, you can kind of understand the same approach, because now I guess people come to you and they say, hey, I got my pitch deck, this is who I am, invest in my deal, and you're like, is this how I'm coming off when people come to me to ask for money? um Tell me, so far with the project, you'd mentioned, let's talk about a little bit of some challenges. Tell me about the conversion. Those aren't easy. Conversions are typically more difficult than most projects, because the retrofit doesn't always go smoothly. I know in Manitoba, our basement heights for ceilings in the basement typically don't meet code. You need like 6 foot something, and a lot of the basements with the drywall, etc., come up a little short. So what are some challenges you ran into when you were doing that conversion?
Well, you hit the nail on the head. That was the biggest challenge I faced. We What I did was I went through a landlordsuites.com. They do like renovations strictly for
Mm-hmm.
um, basement conversions, sorry, duplex conversions.
Yeah.
And yeah, it was a challenge to try and get that ceiling height that I needed in the one area where the previous owner had actually built up a chunk of concrete, and we couldn't figure out why. So we had to get the contractor to pull that out, more funding for that, for the waste of the concrete.
Mm-hmm.
And then everything else was pretty smooth, but learning to get through what the city requirements were and meet those codes from the builder, or sorry, from the contractor side. But again, that came down to not being so much a challenge, where I got to learn from that. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
really like. I know it sounds kind of funny, like some people don't like that roadblock. I'll bite into that and say, well, how can we get around this? How can we manage this? So I really enjoyed that conversion. I would do more of them, to be honest, if the model fit better here in Kitchener,
Mm-hmm.
but the price point is just shooting through
Well,
the roof.
people are doing a lot of conversions in like Edmonton. That seems to be because Edmonton, interestingly enough, a lot of the inventory was built from like 1939 to like 1940, 55 or something. And then when they moved the military base, so you have a ton of these 1940s bungalows that have that ceiling height, where you can like pretty easily convert them. The side door go straight down, that sort of deal. Um, but the pricing is getting challenging there. So I think your plan of New Brunswick um, is going to pay off pretty well. Things are still very affordable. Things are still very landlord friendly. I understand that they put like a little bit of a rent cap or rent control because things were getting a little bit out of hand.
Yeah.
However, like it always kind of goes that way where there's a glory days and then there's like a reality check that's like, okay, you can't do that. You're now making it unaffordable, and the whole goal is affordability. So we're not having that anymore. Um, what do you see the future like for your business in the next, say, 5 years? What are you looking for? What do you plan to do?
Well, I see the business growing very
Mm-hmm.
quickly. I'm
Mm-hmm.
going to continue out east, but I am going to also look into Alberta. That
Yeah.
is next on the list. And of course, I am going down south.
Yeah.
The portfolio, obviously, I want to have every market kind of figured out and
Mhm.
spread, but I can't do that alone. And that has to be with other investors that I'm connected with. So I want to definitely keep growing. I have the passion back now that my kids are old enough. They're good. They're good to make their cereal in the morning. I'm finding more time to connect with others and build that dream, right? Walk
Until the
in.
wife comes in and says, they're all getting a little old. Maybe we should have another one.
Well, that ain't me. I'm all done.
So, yeah, that's exciting. That building the portfolio out, there's very affordable spaces down south and out east and out west, all across the country, really. And when it makes sense, it makes sense, and the money will follow the deal. And it's pretty safe to bet. If you can stack up the money, that deals will come. So, um, if people want to connect with you, they want to find out more, what do they do? How do they find you?
So on Instagram,
Mhm.
my handle is at Kevin V _ REI,
Mhm.
or on Facebook, just Kevin Veen.
And for those of you who are listening, Veen, Veen.
There you go.
Awesome. Awesome. Well, I really appreciate you stopping by and letting people know the East Coast still makes money. And yeah, the limiting beliefs are usually our own manufactured beliefs. So breaking them, they never go away, but breaking them allowed you to really take this thing to the next level. So I appreciate you stopping by, Kevin.
No, I appreciate you having me. I'm grateful to be here, and hopefully we'll have a chance to talk again soon.
Definitely, definitely. And until next time, guys, we'll catch you on the next episode.
Hey there, I really hope you enjoyed that episode. And as always, if you want to listen to more daily interview content, make sure you subscribe. And if you're an active real estate investor and you're doing deals and you'd like to get featured on this show, then just head over to daveinterviewyou.com. Now at moneypartnerformula.com, we help real estate investors to create a process for predictably getting capital so they can do more deals without relying on hard money lenders or the banks. We do this by building them a private capital marketing system. Now, if you want help turning yourself into a big money capital attraction machine, then book a call with our team to see how we can help. Just visit moneypartnerformula.com to find out more. All right, take care, and we'll see you on the next interview.